6 Best Day Trips in France, Explore France Part 2. 3-day trip from Nice to Monaco and Nice. Small is good, especially when it comes to tours. This tour that starts in Nice and visits Nice and Monaco before returning is limited to 8 passengers, making it a delightful way to see the French Riviera. You'll leave Nice by minivan for the medieval village of Nice with its gorgeous fairy tale castle that sits atop a hill overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. You'll travel via the Moyennet or Middle Corniche Road. Above you is the Grand Corniche, where scenes from the original Alfred Hitchcock's To Catch a Thief were filmed. Comfortable walking shoes are a must if you plan to walk the 1,000-year-old cobblestone paths to the exotic garden atop the castle hill. The views from here are stunning and well worth the climb, just be sure to pace yourself. Next you'll learn how French perfumes, considered the world's best, are made at a perfume factory in the village below the castle. You'll learn about different scents and bottles. This is a good place to indulge your senses. Next you'll drive to Monaco, a place where fairy tale romances do come true, i.e., the marriage of American actress Grace Kelly to Monaco's Prince Rainier. Their son is Monaco's current ruler. The first stop in this tiny principality is Old Town of Monte Carlo, where you'll have some free time to explore this playground for the rich and famous on your own. You might take in the Cousteau Oceanographic Museum or the changing of the guard at the Royal Palace if you're visiting between April and October. Your tour begins with a lap around the famous Formula One Grand Prix track that runs through the streets of Monte Carlo. The tour's final stop is Casino Square, where you can shop at high-end boutiques or take in some of the nearby fabulous gardens. 2-day trip from Paris to Mont Saint-Michel. This day trip takes us to one of France's iconic landmarks, Mont Saint-Michel, a village and abbey that sit on a rocky island where the bays of Normandy and Brittany merge. From a distance, Mont Saint-Michel appears magical, almost as if it is part of a fairy tale. Because it takes several hours to drive from Paris to Mont Saint-Michel, the tour begins with a lunch stop at a local restaurant. Following lunch, your guide will lead you on a walking tour, comfortable shoes are a must, through narrow lanes to the top of the village. Learn about the history of the village when it was used as a defensive site. Learn, too, about its 8th century abbey that has drawn pilgrims for centuries. According to legend, back in 708, the Archangel Michael told the Bishop of Avranches to build a church on the island. While Mont Saint-Michel is located on an island now, in prehistoric times it was connected to the mainland. Over the centuries, tidal erosion changed the landscape. The tides here are the highest in Europe. Indeed, the island used to be accessible only at low tide. Now a raised causeway connects the mainland with the island, so you shouldn't have to worry about getting your shoes muddy and wet. Still, high tides on occasion have flowed over the new causeway. Trivia buffs may be interested to know that scenes 16 and 17 of the Bayeux Tapestry deal with Mont Saint-Michel. 1-day trip from Paris to Versailles. If you're into over-the-top opulence, then a tour of the Palace of Versailles should rate high on your bucket list of things to do in Paris. You'll travel by luxury minivan from Paris to Versailles, now a wealthy Paris suburb. When you arrive at the Royal Digs, you'll bypass the long line of tourists waiting to get in and head straight through the entrance. Your guide will walk you through the palace, explaining in detail what you're seeing. The palace represents all that was extravagant about the French monarchy, though they only used it about 160 years, beginning with Louis XIII, who built a hunting lodge in 1623 in the small village of Versailles. Expansions over the years turned the lodge into a palace. Louis XIV moved the capital here from Paris in 1682. Extensive remodeling was done when Marie Antoinette became queen. The French Revolution ended France's absolute monarchy in 1789 when Louis XVI and his queen, Marie Antoinette, were forced back to Paris and later beheaded. You'll tour the royal apartments with their lavish decorations and the Hall of Mirrors, perhaps the most famous room at Versailles. 21 mirrors covered each of 17 arches in the salon that was used for state ceremonies. Then it's on to the beautifully landscaped gardens with their water features and exotic flowers. Next you'll enjoy a gourmet 3-course lunch served in a restaurant adjacent to the Grand Canal. After lunch, you'll tour the Grand Trianon, another palace with beautiful gardens and pink marble colonnades. Your guide will tell you a few tales of extravagances enjoyed by Napoleon at Versailles when he ruled. The final stop before going back from Versailles to Paris will be the Queen's Hamlet, a group of thatched roof cottages.